Hi there, my name is Jonah. I'm a junior at Laurel Springs, which is an online school, meaning that my fellow students come from all around the world. Today, I want to introduce you to an important organization that I belong to, along with a bunch of other Laurel Springs classmates who are also musicians, called the Back to Bach Project. It's a really cool program that works to inspire kids across the globe in music and the arts. Today, we're going to present you with a super fun music challenge. It's actually a competition of sorts, and we've named it the Battle of the Composers. So, what's a composer anyway? Well, a composer is someone who writes songs and musical pieces. Just like an artist uses a paintbrush to make a painting, or a chef uses food to create a delicious meal, composers use music to create songs of all different types. It could be pop or country music, could be rock and roll or hip hop. There are so many different kinds of music and so many composers. But the ones we'll be introducing you to today were all classical music composers, which means their music was often written for symphonies and created using traditional instruments such as violins, cellos, violas, horns, pianos, and more. Since none of these 6 amazing composers are alive anymore, my other back-to-Bach friends will be helping me by acting out one composer each and then playing you a small clip from their most famous piece to convince you that they are the best composer ever. Now, as these composers duke it out with each other, you get the chance to listen and help decide. At the end, you'll get to vote. Who did you like the most? Which musical piece was your favorite? Tell your teacher to take a vote and then post the winning composer in the comments. So, here we go. Come and join us in our Battle of the Composers. We'll begin with my friend, Stella, playing the famous Russian composer, Rachmaninoff.
Hello, I'm Sergei Rachmaninoff. I was born April 1st of 1873 in northwestern Russia. As you may have guessed, due to the complexity of my pieces, and me being titled one of the last great representatives of Romanticism, naturally, I have been playing since the age of 4. While my lyricism and melodies in my compositions are strongly based off Tchaikovsky's, my music tends to be more exuberant or energetic, including the use of bugle and counterpoint on occasion. Also, should you consider this worth noting, which I think you should, I use quite a bit of chromaticism, which can be seen in my prelude in C-sharp minor. But why have me keep talking about it when I could just show you? Of course, I didn't become famous from talking.
Good day to you, or, as we say in German, Guten Tag. I am Johann Sebastian Bach. I am, or shall I say, I was, a composer, which is someone who writes music. I was born a long, long time ago, over 300 years ago, in a town called Eisenach, in a country called Germany. I come from a big family of musicians, and I was the youngest of 8 children. That's like having a small orchestra of brothers and sisters to play with. I believe that I am the best composer in the world, and in fact, many people throughout history would agree that I am one of the greatest music makers to ever make music. I've made lots of different types of music too. Some of my pieces I composed feel like stories you can listen to, and others are like dances that you can move to. One unique characteristic about my music is that I like to mix things up sometimes. I take things like rhythms, which are what a drummer or beatboxer might play, forms, which is the way a music is kind of put together, and textures, which is the feeling of music. It could be described as rough or smooth or heavy or even light and floaty.
I took these different things from all different kinds of places, like Italy and France, and I took them and blended them together into my own style. Kind of like a musical smoothie now that I think about it. Now, I would like to share with you one of my most particularly special pieces. Over many years of my lifetime, I wrote the first large piece of music composed specifically for an instrument called the cello, which is a large string instrument that you can play with a bow and has a sound similar to the range of the human voice. Before I did this, the cello was only considered a background instrument in an orchestra, so this was a very unique thing to compose back then. They were called the cello suites, and there were 6 of them. Each one tells a different story from a different time of my life. I'm going to play one for you that's called the second suite, and this one is called Courante, which means it's a fast dance of sort, a bit like musical race where the notes are the runners. Why don't we take a listen? I'll play it for you myself.
Hello, I'm George Walker, and I was born June 27th, 1922, in Washington, D.C., and I will live to a wonderful age of 96 years old. I am a composer and a pianist. My compositions are heavily influenced by the jazz, the blues, and African American spirituals. I believe that I'm the best composer because my music has a unique flavor and musical voice. For example, I wrote the Caprice in 1941 when I was only 19 years old. This piece is one of my favorites because it perfectly displays my style of composing. Here's the Caprice.
Hey, my name is Joseph Franz Haydn and was born in 1732 in Rora, Austria. I was a pivotal composer in the classical period and was known as the father of symphony and father of string quartet due to my career in the Esterházy Castle. This may be because I was a machine in making music back then. I wrote 106 symphonies, over 90 string quartets, 620 piano sonatas, and 32 piano trios. Fortunately, despite my isolation in the castle, my music was celebrated widely all over the Europe. And thanks to this fame, I got to mentor Mozart and tutor Beethoven and other great musicians like them. The piece that I'll be performing today is one of the most well-known and significant repertoires of mine called the Cello Concerto No. 1 in C major that I wrote in around 1761 to 65 for my longtime friend Joseph Franz Wiegel, who was then the principal cellist for Prince Nicholas's Esterházy Orchestra. Here we go.
My name is Johannes Brahms, and I am a German composer born in Hamburg, May 7th, 1833. Anyway, I died in 1897, rather unfortunate if you do say. Honestly, I found it unfortunate at least. I am technically a romantic composer, but I do not subscribe to all of its notions, and I am rather classically influenced. In fact, many of my contemporaries and viewers and people who came to speak to me often considered me a Beethoven of sorts, which is a compliment, but of course, I'm not Ludwig van Beethoven. I am Johannes Brahms. Eventually, I decided to diversify my portfolio after being influenced by folk music, and I was able to create a piece such as the one that is to be played. Opus 119, Intermezzo, number 1.
Good dog. Hello, friends. I'm Edvard Grieg. I was born in a beautiful city called Bergen in the Scandinavian country of Norway. I, like others here, was an exceptional composer of great music. Although you may not know this, I bet if you heard it, you would recognize one of my pieces, like in the Hall of the Mountain King. One of the things that makes my music special is that I almost always sprinkle a bit of the Norwegian culture I love so much into every tune I write. Dash of folk music, if you will. It's sort of my trademark, you know. Now, let's talk about a special piece I made called The Hobergsfeet, which I wrote to celebrate a famous Norwegian playwright a couple of hundred years back named Ludvig Holberg. It has 5 parts to it that we call movements, and this one is called the Preludium. It sounds a bit like a thrilling adventure story, I think. Here is a recording of my friends playing the string orchestra version today. You will see that there are violins and cellos and violas all playing together. So, are you ready to join us on an exciting musical adventure? Here we go!
So there you have it. Let's give a big round of applause for our awesome Laurel Springs back-to-back actors and musicians. And now you've also heard 6 of the most extraordinary composers ever. So, now comes the important part. It's time to vote. Who was your favorite? Was it Sergei Rachmaninoff? Was it Johann Sebastian Bach? Was it George Walker? Was it Franz Joseph Haydn? Was it Johannes Brahms? Or, last but not least, was it Edvard Grieg? Whether you're voting on your own or as a class, make your vote and count them up. Then don't forget to have your teacher put all of your votes in the comments. Thanks so much for joining us for our very first Battle of the Composers. You have learned about 6 composers today, and there are thousands more. Keep exploring. There is so much exciting music in this world to discover. Wishing you all a musical day.